Hey mamas, it's Kristen Noel, founder of the Intuitive Divorce, and I'm here joined with my beautiful team member, Master Coach Joe Young, and we are straight out of class, dealing with a little bit of tech issues today. It's Mercury retrograde, it's a hot summer day, and there were a lot of feelings that got unpacked in class today. And it started with a mom who just opened right up and said, I'm just all up in the feels. I'm a bit of a stress ball. I've got so much going on. And I lost my shit on my kids last night. And so I just sat back and we listened, and she just kind of unpacked it and she sort of beat herself up and she was telling us all the circumstances. And I was like, just kept listening. I said, okay. And looked around the room at all the other mamas and said, who in this room hasn't lost their shit on their kids? Raise of hands. Crickets. Of course we lose our shit on our kids. Of course we lose it. It's an indicator. Again, let's go back to that red light flashing on the dashboard of your car. It's a need that needs you. So obviously, we can come up with all the circumstances of what happens. I mean, a divorce, your plate is piled high. You're already dealing with a household. You're dealing with all your feelings, your anxiety, your fear. You're dealing with your work, and you're dealing with your divorce. And, every once in a while, something topples, comes undone, comes out sideways. Welcome to being a human being. So we actually probably spent about 90 minutes in one way or another sharing about that, sharing about what do we do with that when it happens? Because it's going to happen. It's called life. It's called life adversity. It's called something just being off kilter. So it was a really, really powerful class. And we want to unpack a little bit of that with you here today so that you don't feel isolated in your shame or your guilt, or you're feeling like a failure as a mom because you don't always have the perfect words. You don't always show up and have all the right answers and know how to handle every situation. And to remind you that you also have needs.
Yes, that's such a poignant place to leave off because we also talked a lot today about giving yourself permission, right? Giving yourself permission to make decisions and choices that are all about you, that consider you first, and how seldom we do that. So there's 2 points here, but the first one, going back to the losing it, I mean, it might be your kids, it might be your ex, it might be your boss, it might be whatever, whoever. And at the end of the day, so much of the work that we do here is around regulating our nervous systems, taking care of ourselves so that we have the opportunity to deal with our feelings as they're happening, to respond rather than to react. But we are human. And it doesn't matter how much work you do, you're going to have moments where you react. And what we do with those moments make all the difference in the world.
That is the place where I know it feels like crap because we want to just show up and we want to have all the perfect words and we want to have the perfect speech and we want to handle everything. But you know what? What is that actually modeling to your kids? So we work a lot about helping moms normalize feelings so that they can model that for their children, so that their children know it's safe to have feelings. It's safe to get angry. It's safe to be sad. It's safe to have to process something. What happens when we get angry? What happens when we get sad? What happens when we get disappointed? What happens when we're afraid? How do we handle that? So while it doesn't feel good, it is so layered because you have so many opportunities to keep coming back to your kids. And number one, when you go back to your kids after you've had sort of, handled a situation that you wish you hadn't handled in that particular way, and you go back to them and you talk to them about it, you are validating their feelings. You're validating what came up for them. You're validating that you really don't want to show up that way, or that's not really the way you want to handle that. But also, mom had a hard day. Not making excuses, but mom had a hard day. I was really angry. I'm working on finding better ways to deal with that anger. And it doesn't all necessarily have to happen in like, don't worry, you don't have to have an Academy Award winning speech. So like kids, they don't want a thesis, but you plant seeds. You plant seeds of creating safety and you plant seeds of normalizing feelings. And that creates healthy relationship. And we were also talking about how many children get caught in the crossfires, the chaos between two feuding spouses. And it's really hard sometimes when your kids are going to your ex's house and there are a different set of rules and there are a different set of ways that they handle things. And maybe they overshare and maybe they weaponize and maybe they triangulate the children, you know. So there's a lot that comes up and we processed a lot of that today in class today. And these are invaluable, invaluable conversations that all moms going through divorce will encounter.
That's
And
right. And one of the biggest things is to realize that there's always repair work that can be done. When you handle something in a way that you wish you hadn't, because it's not how you choose to show up anymore, there's always the repair work. And we were saying it's a beautiful place to lay the groundwork when these things happen, because you get an opportunity for your kids to also see you as a human being, not just mom and dad. And so it's like they can see a mother who is also a friend, who is also a neighbor, who is also a boss or an employee or whatever the case may be, that because we're multifaceted, right? And so they get to see you as a human being who made a mistake. And so you get to normalize, hey, when I make a mistake, this is what I do. I show up and I'm accountable for it. And I say, I wish that wouldn't have happened. But let's talk about what was going on in the moment. You know, let's talk about what we can do going forward so that that doesn't occur anymore. What are different ways we can handle it when we're angry or frustrated so that we're not doing that with each other? Because what you're actually doing is not only taking care of yourself and repairing the relationship, but you are also modeling for your children that this is how they too can do repair work. This is how too they can deal with their feelings and emotions. Because none of us are going to get through this life without making someone angry or responding in a way, reacting in a way that we wish we hadn't. An
I love that
experience.
term repair work. It's really valuable. And
Mhm.
also normalizing needs. This came up with one of the mamas who was seeing a therapist for, you know, with her daughter, and the therapist was trying to explain to the daughter, your mom is a friend and a daughter and an employee and someone who has needs. And sometimes she needs a play date. She needs to go out to dinner with her friends and she's going to be back afterwards. But the more we can sort of normalize these conversations with our kids, the better we're setting them up. And this is happening right now in the mess of divorce because life doesn't stop and a lot's going to get unpacked and everybody's got big feelings. So it could be a recipe for disaster, but it doesn't have to be. Doesn't
Mhm.
have to be when you're realizing I get to pay attention to this stuff right now. This is an opportunity. This is an opportunity to show up as the mother that I want to be. Yeah, even right here in the mess. And also, one of the things I always say is it's a long game. It's a long game. Imagine planting those seeds. You're going to have to wait for it to germinate a little bit. But when you continue to show up consistently, even if it gets messy sometimes, but you show up and your kids know I'm still safe when she gets angry. I'm still safe when, you know, she comes when I get angry. I'm still safe and we get to talk about it. You know, that's massive because actually I don't think a lot of us grew up that way.
Not exactly.
Huge. It's huge. It's huge. And
Mhm.
also, you know, as Joe always does, beautifully brings in boundaries. You also get to set your own boundaries with your children, with your ex, with your family, with your community, with anybody you want to set them with or who you need to set them with. You don't have to unpack everything because your kids ask you about it or they are being messengers for your ex. It is okay. There's a difference between bad mouthing your spouse or your ex and saying to your kids, you know what, I wish dad hadn't spoken to you about that. That's actually something that dad and I are working on, or that's something that's between us. And that's not something that you need to worry about. We love you. This is between dad and I. There's a difference between disparaging and creating a distinction that this is not something that you and I are going to discuss. And you can have your boundaries about that. And I always like to have moms envision this long game somewhere down the road. What your kids are really going to remember is how you made them feel. They may laugh, you may have a conversation. I mean, my 25-year-old son will laugh and he will recount times that I lost my shit, but he will also remember that I created safety underneath his feet. And I worked really hard to be consistent. And you can have both. You can
Yes.
have both.
Yeah, it's so true. And thinking of it as the long game also enables you to get out of the moment of whatever's happening about who's right and who's wrong and who's the victim and who's the perpetrator or whatever the case may be, and to kind of take a step back and go, what matters here?
Mm,
What matters here is,
mhm,
how is this making my child feel? Or how is this making whoever I'm on the other side of the conversation with feel?
mhm,
Can I ask them how it's making them feel so that I get to hear it and acknowledge it? And then I get to be a part of creating a relationship with this person that I want to have.
mhm, mhm.
It doesn't matter who's right or wrong in the moment. I mean, how many of us can remember the petty details about what we argue about down the road? Hardly at all, right? But what you can remember is the relationship that you built, maybe as an opportunity because of that conflict.
Mhm.
And I say to people all the time, don't be afraid to have conflict. Conflict is just two people with two different opinions. It's about how we have conflict that matters. It's about how we speak to each other, how we honor each other in those moments, how we communicate with each other. And so, yes, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Don't be afraid to normalize feelings. Don't be apologetic because you're angry, maybe how you handled it. But being angry is human. Being frustrated is human. And the more we can normalize that for our children, the easier it's going to be for them when they have those same feelings to come to us and go, hey, mom, I'm feeling really frustrated right now about X, Y, or Z.
Mhm.
Because if we act like it's not okay, if we're apologizing for it all the time, guess what happens when they feel that way? They're certainly not going to feel
Not
safe.
allowed to feel angry.
That's
Not
right.
allowed. Yeah. Well,
Don't be mad, right? Don't be mad.
we always say it's this great opportunity. Divorce is an incredible opportunity for healing because aside from all these other things that you're navigating and negotiating, you get to learn a lot about yourself. You get to witness a lot about yourself non-judgmentally, okay? Non-judgmentally, without guilt, without condemnation. But if you actually sit back and say, wow, okay, yeah, lost my shit last night. Probably, I bet you would tell a story where you were just kind of ignoring things. So that was like this was pecking at you, pecking, 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 pecking. Like you kind of were like moving along, just ignoring, like swatting the mosquitoes away, right? And eventually something just was like the straw that broke the camel's back. So you're human. What was the setup there? What can I learn about how I ended up in that position? What can I do differently? What do I need more of? So you just get more curious. It's not about condemnation, it's about curiosity. What can I call forth for myself? Because this is really going to help regulate me, help regulate my children, help regulate my house, and certainly help regulate my divorce. And I love that you brought in how we started class. I was reading a passage from a book, and so often women who are going through anything, they will do the work because they want to be better mothers and they want to be better spouses and they want to be better daughters and they want to be better employers. And like somewhere down the line, is really what their needs are. What if you were to just give yourself permission to show up for what is better for you? What is best for you? What is the best decision today for you? Just for you. because there is not a woman in the intuitive divorce that doesn't take everyone's needs into account. I'm not worried about any selfish mamas here. I'm worrying about selfless mamas. So this was a beautiful way in which we started the class because we really wanted to remind women who are going through divorce and who are just going through this human experience that they are allowed to give themselves permission to make moves and choices and decisions based on their needs, what is best for them. Do it for yourself, because when you take care of yourself, then you've got a pitcher that's full, and then you have something to pour from.
Yeah.
So
When we take care of ourselves, it's the best thing we can do for everybody around us.
mhm.
And that is the truth, because then we come at it from a clean, clear, open perspective, whatever it is. So always, everything starts with self.
I'm just actually starting to laugh thinking about class because as we say every week, we never know what's going to come up and we never know where it's going to go. And this really is the container where you get to come and keep it real. And this is where you say all the things you can't say to your children. You say it in this room and we start laughing. We can call your spouse or your ex or anybody, we can call them
All
whatever.
kinds of things.
We call them all kinds of things. And we laugh and we commiserate and we reflect and we hold space and we unpack. And the most beautiful thing that I'm thinking about today, I'm sure you remember this moment, was like the mama that started speaking today in class, who was initially talking about this scenario where she lost it and she was feeling so bad. She had a massive like light bulb just go on as we were in class. Like she realized what it was that she was not seeing, or what she could do differently, or what false expectations she was putting in the scenario. That is what this work is all about. It's not about not hitting roadblocks. It's about the quick pivot. It's about figuring out how to regulate yourself so that you can have a kind mind and you can be curious and you can come up with your solutions and you can pivot much quicker.
Yeah. It was fun to watch her turn from being so distraught into actually being so excited, because she's like, now I know. Now I know what I can do differently next time.
Yep.
And so, yeah, it's the best when that happens. And we never know when that will happen.
Yeah.
But these are the mamas that are showing up for themselves each and every week here in this group. And they all make those transitions in time where
Mhm.
it's like, oh, yes, I get it now. Right. And they're so quick to go, it's because of this group. And we say, no, it's because of the work you've done in this group.
It's because you show up. It's because you
That's
show
right.
up. And it's also the reason that we love working with mamas navigating divorce so much, because when they are helping themselves, it just trickles out to everything. They're
Mm,
helping their children.
yes.
They're helping their families. They're helping their lives. And it's so powerful to witness.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for it. I literally can't wait for class every week. So
Me
we love
too.
hopping on here. We love sharing these stories with you. We hope it makes you feel less alone. We hope that it gives you a little bit of inspiration and a little bit of hope that you can divorce differently, and that you can honor your needs, wants, and desires. And you can take care of yourself and you can be more present with your kids and you can keep your divorce on track. It's called an intuitive divorce. It's strategic. It's not just about time, money, and heartache. It is about strategy, life strategy. So, anyway, we are so happy to pop on and share these little tidbits with you today. And if you haven't already, please check out our work at intuitivedivorce.com. Make sure you're on a newsletter. We've got lots and lots of information that goes out every week. Joe's got a great offering that's coming up soon to take advantage of. Do you want to say something about that?
Sure. It's a 2 day, totally free masterclass. It's going to be August 12th and 13th, and for anyone who is ready to make a shift. It's called The Shift. So if you want to know more about it, go to Joe Young, JOYOUNG, coaching.com, and you'll find it there.
But just know you're not alone. There are so many tools and tips and strategies, and this group is so powerful. And
Yes.
You are so worthy of being supported as you do it, because when you take care of yourself, you are taking care of everything else.
Yes. Yes. It all starts with you. So thank you for showing up. Till
Yeah,
next week.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Much love to you.
Bye.